Hi friends, David here from Learn Stage Lighting, and today I want to take a look at prisms in moving lights. Talk about what a prism is, what it does, and most importantly, what you want to look for when you're choosing a moving light in regards to prism. I've got to tell you, prisms are probably one of my favorite features that are in moving lights. Here today, we've got 3 fixtures here that all have prisms inside them. They're all approximately 300 to 400 watt LED moving head spots. And prisms are so cool because it's like when you have a moving light, whether it has zoom or not, a prism can help expand that beam even further and also do some really interesting things in terms of the focus and layering of gobos on that beam. And that's what I want to look at today. When you first see a prism mentioned in a moving head, there's really 2 ways that I look at things, okay? First and foremost, if the moving head doesn't have zoom, it may have a fairly narrow beam angle, okay? And so, like these 3 lights right now, okay, they've all got the prism in them, okay? Now they can go very narrow, but the prism makes them wider. Let's take a look at a couple different shapes of prisms here on the wall, okay? So right now, we've got, first and foremost, our ADJ CMY, Visi CMY 300. Good fixture. It has 2 prisms in it, okay? The first is a lenticular or a linear prism, okay? And then the second prism in that guy, let's just grab it real quick, is a 3-facet, like we see here from our Volux Spectra 300. Okay, Volux is a newer brand to the scene, though not really, and they brought this fixture and we're borrowing it right now. So that one in yellow is a 3-facet from Volux. That one's a 3-facet from ADJ. Now, when we talk about prisms, okay, so we've got a 3-facet, circular, we've got a linear here on our ADJ CMY 300, and then on our Gamma TX6, another favorite of ours when it comes to CMY fixtures, we've got, I believe, an 8-facet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, an 8-facet, and this fixture also has, a 3-facet as well. So 3-facet is arguably the most common, okay? Now, let's talk about different tricks, different things that prisms do for our fixtures, okay? So first and foremost, say, for example, say we park all of these in our 3-facet, okay? They're all in 3-facet, all 3 of these fixtures can zoom, although they're at different zoom angles right now, and we can make this prism smaller or larger, okay? So what it's doing is it's helping scatter that beam either on a surface or through the air. That allows you to get more spread out of it, though it lowers the apparent intensity or brightness of that fixture. Okay, when we put a gobo into a prism is when it starts to really get interesting. So let's just go ahead here. We'll grab a nice breakup with some space in it on this fixture, the CMY from ADJ. Focus it up. Boom. Go to my TX6. Gonna go to my rotating wheel. Find something not really that similar, but close in the sense of how much negative space versus positive space, light versus dark there is. Okay. Number 3, grab a gobo here. That's pretty similar, and I'm just going to zoom this one so it's a little more similar and focus it up. Awesome. So when we put a gobo into a fixture that has a prism on it, we see a couple things, okay? The first is that it's going to spread out that fixture. Let's walk over here and take a look, okay? So it obviously spreads it. It also takes it so that, as you're seeing here, and hopefully you can see this on video, it's more apparent, that oftentimes within a prism's breakup, it's especially noticeable, easy to see on the ADJ, in the cyan, When it's breaking up that pattern, more often than not, because of the prism's shape vertically inside the fixture, you can typically get the center or the outside sharp, but there's going to be some variations in sharpness that help the prism to layer on top of each other. Okay, now let's talk about in the air. So in the air really matters too, especially when we have gobos. And let's see if we have enough haze in the air right now. We do. Okay, so you may have seen over there that when I look at either my overhead or my cam coming from behind, that through the air, you'll see this gobo here. You really get a great look out of it. And actually, let's just turn the light off for a second because I'm running out of haze. But that prism inside this fixture, as you might be able to see, really spreads it out. Okay, let's bring in number 2, number 3. You can see now, let's go ahead to all 3 of these and pop the prisms out. So, no prism, we've got a fairly narrow beam. We're seeing that light through the air, for example, on the overhead camera. And then when we add the prism, we're going to see it spread out like we see there. Let's just look at the Spectra 300 from Volux. In, out, in, out. And so what you can see really there as I turn this light back on and pop back into the shot, even though our haze is waning, adding or removing a prism to a fixture is not only going to give you more coverage on a space, but it's also going to give you a more scattered effect and a lighter, poppy, really feathery effect through the air. Okay, now let's talk about combining prisms. Okay, so I've got 3 fixtures here. I've got the ADJ CMY 300, again the Gamma TX6, and the Volux Spectra 300. Okay, 2 of these fixtures have 2 prisms, the Gamma and the ADJ. Okay, in this case, both fixtures have independent prisms. So let's talk about that. Let's walk through that. So for example, we'll start with the ADJ. I've got my 4-facet, and I've got my 3-facet. I can bring them both in if I would like, and then I can rotate them both independently. And so they're both rotating. They're rotating at different speeds, different directions. One can rotate, the other cannot, whatever you want to do. Okay, let's go ahead to our next fixture. So here we've got the Volux, 1 prism. It'll rotate, sure, but that's about it. Okay, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, honestly. When I think about prisms and fixtures that have dual prisms, it's really a toss-up as to whether I use them, and oftentimes when you're comparing, you might want to say to yourself, you're looking to buy a fixture. Okay, if a fixture offers dual prisms versus one that doesn't, and we compare the prices, which we always do all day long at WindStageLightingGear.com for folks, you might say, you know what? I only need 1 prism. That's going to serve my needs fine. I don't need that secondary prism. But then, for example, we'll just go and look at our TX6 again from Gamma. And so we've got our 3-facet again. We've got our 8. And if we combine them together, it looks like so. Let's change the zoom angle on this. As we change the zoom angle, we get a little bit more hole in the center, which is interesting. Anytime you've got a hole in the center, it's going to look really beamy and airy going through some haze. Okay, like if we come over here, we'll be able to go ahead, look at it from the overhead. The difference between bringing in the 8, bringing in and out the 3. We get some different looks. We get a little bit more airiness in the beam overall when we have both of them in. Okay, and again, when you go ahead and you have 2 prisms and they both rotate, you can do all kinds of stuff like I'm doing here. Okay, so that one's going to go clockwise. We're going to take the 3-facet counterclockwise. Looks pretty cool. Slow that down. And then third and final, if you're really looking for an interesting, really cool textured effect, you can take your gobo and then rotate that guy. And so now, the gobo rotates, both prisms rotate. If we look at it through the air, even though I know the haze is going away from the AC, we get a really airy, really complex, interesting effect with movement. Now, I'm not gonna lie, like I mentioned, you know, more often than not, I'm the kind of person who's like, hey, say I've got a unit with a single fixture, like this unit from Volux, and I just go ahead here and, you know, all I really wanna do is, grab that fixture, is prism out, prism in, and those are all the looks I need. So at the end of the day, what I really want you to grasp from this video, and what I hope you guys grasp from this video, is that when we look across different fixtures, when we look at different prisms, you really want to identify what kind of prism you're looking for, okay? The prisms like the 4-facet linear that's in this ADJ fixture, CMY 300, a lot of times those will help spread your beam out horizontally, and if you rotate that, you get an interesting in the air effect. 3-facet, 8-facet, 16-facet, ones like that, a lot of times are going to have a lot of overlap to them. Sometimes, if fixtures are going for more of a beam look, you're going to see a hole in the center of that prism where there's really not a lot of light, and that's going to make it more beamy, more punchy, more vibrant through the air because you have that dark space. But on surfaces, when you project that prism, it doesn't look as good as one that doesn't have a hole in the center, okay? So I hope that helps you the next time you're thinking, or maybe you haven't ever thought this deeply about prisms before, but if you're considering buying any moving light spot, generally these days, any good one is gonna have a prism of some sort. And it's a really great tool if you haven't used it a lot before to use anytime you want to spread that beam out, cover more area, or create some really interesting and dynamic effects. So if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, check out our other channel, Learn Stage Lighting Gear, and most importantly, if you need to buy any lights, we are the best place to do it. Why? Because you got to buy your lights somewhere, and we would love to help you find the right fit for you across all the manufacturers in the industry and get you a personalized price quote to help you figure out exactly what you need, what it's going to cost, and get it for you and give you the support and training you need in order to get the most out of it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video as well as over at Learn Stage Lighting Gear. Thanks.